When I came back after just 3 days away, I found a 10-foot-wide gravel road slicing through my pasture like a scar across skin, my fences ripped out, my irrigation lines twisted, my no trespassing sign stomped into splinters. And at the end of that wound stood a shiny blue placard with the words, Creststone Community Access, HOA Maintained. That was the moment I knew my life was about to turn into a war. My name's Jack Jeffrey. I spent 22 years in the Army handling logistics, reading maps, winning battles with paperwork instead of bullets. When I retired, I bought this land, a farm I built with my own 2 hands. For 30 years, it had been steady, predictable mine. But the Creststone subdivision grew up next door, full of McMansions and SUVs, neighbors who thought cattle smelled too strong and tractors were too loud. They'd tried to shut down my pumpkin patch, complained about me running the baler after dark. But this was something else. This was trespassing. This was theft. I marched straight to the HOA office, a sterile little building pretending to be professional. And there she was, behind a spotless glass desk, platinum blonde hair, red blazer, gold name tag shining like she thought it was a sheriff's badge, Karen Ellsworth, HOA President. "Mr. Jeffrey," she purred, "did you see the new access lane? Isn't it a vast improvement?" I didn't sit. I just said, "You built a road across my land." She smiled like she was swatting a fly. "We constructed a necessary community path. It's part of our expansion plan." I leaned closer. "Not on my property, it's not." Her head, tilted eyes glittering. "I think you'll find the legalities a little more flexible than that." I left before I lost my temper. Shouting wasn't going to fix this, but I wasn't about to let it go either. That night, I pulled out my old file cabinet, spread my land deed and surveys across the table, poured myself a drink, and whispered, "Game on." The next week was hell. My cattle stopped grazing where they should. One calf broke its leg, spooked by a speeding car, and I had to put it down myself. Every fence I fixed was torn again by another vehicle barreling through. And with each snap of wood, each cloud of dust, I felt my control slipping. One night, sitting alone with my head in my hands, I asked myself if it was worth it. Was I being stubborn? Maybe I should sell Get Out, let them have their damn shortcut. For the first time in decades, I doubted myself. But then I remembered my wife. She'd passed 10 years ago, but her voice still echoed. "This land is ours, Jack. Don't let anyone take an inch." I closed my eyes and knew I couldn't quit. So I called Thomas Myers, my old Army buddy turned land use attorney. When he saw the documents, the drone photos, the manipulated maps from Creststone Phase 2, he chuckled darkly. "They're dead in the water, Jack. They shifted boundaries, funneled contracts to Karen's cousin, and never filed a permit. This isn't just trespassing, it's fraud." Word spread. A beekeeper, neighbor, a retired teacher, a veteran with a flag on his porch, all stepped forward with their own HOA horror stories. Someone even dropped a manila envelope in my mailbox packed with internal emails, one of them titled, "Remove Jeffrey from the Equation," and a canceled check, 72 grand straight to Karen's cousin's company. That was the turning point. It wasn't just me anymore. It was everyone they'd pushed around. Karen didn't back down. She stormed onto my land, shoving legal papers at my chest, hissing, "You can't do this. Judges don't like difficult landowners." I just smiled. Then let's see how they feel about arrogant boards who break the law. Court day came. The chamber was packed, HOA members whispering, Karen in her red blazer pretending she still had control. Judge Fulton, gray-haired, sharp-eyed, the kind who could cut a man in half with a single question, took the bench. My lawyer, Thomas, laid it all out. Maps, photos, contracts, emails. Then the game cam footage, a pickup from Karen's cousin's company ripping out my fence posts at night. The room went dead silent. The judge turned to Karen. "Mrs. Ellsworth, did you personally approve the disbursement of HOA funds to this company?" Karen's voice cracked. I believed it was for the good of the community. The judge's eyes narrowed. "That is not an answer." Finally, Karen broke. "Yeah." 6 hours later, the gavel came down. The road was illegal. The HOA was guilty of trespass property damage, fraudulent misrepresentation. They owed me damages, legal fees, livestock compensation. And, most beautiful of all, I was granted the legal right to build toll gates across the very road they carved into my pasture. When the gates went up, the looks on their faces were priceless. Creststone residents who once clapped for their scenic access now had to pay $3 a drive. Some cursed, some apologized. One even slipped me $20 with a note. "You're right. HOA's gone too far." Karen showed up one last time. Her Lexus screeched to a stop at the gate, sunglasses shoved into her hairphone raised, live-streaming herself. "This is extortion," she screamed. "This man is destroying our community." I stepped forward, calm as stone. "Karen, you're trespassing again. The court's already decided. This is my road now." She spun, wild-eyed. "I built this. This was supposed to be my legacy." Her voice cracked, mascara running, and she collapsed against her car, sobbing so hard the crowd around us didn't know where to look. After a long silence, I said, "You didn't lose it, Karen. You gave it away." She got back in her car and drove off. That night, the HOA board posted her resignation. The woman who thought she owned everything ended up with nothing. And that's how I learned if you don't defend what's yours, someone else will claim it's theirs. Sometimes, standing your ground is the only way people remember it was yours to begin with.